the problems that we have. You're never going to get anywhere until you decide that you individually care enough about your community to do something about it. 910 AM Superstation. We're the hottest station in town. Good morning, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. How are you this morning? Time now is 6 o'clock in the morning. If you've got to be there by 7 o'clock, you've got 1 hour to get there. Listen to 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The number here in the studio is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. So Tim Scott has decided, Tim Scott is a senator from South Carolina, and many of you have heard him utter previously that he thought that America is not a racist country. He's decided that that's the thing that he wants to be the overall theme of his presidency, his campaign for presidency. He believes that he has what we need in our country in order to try to bring together folks somewhere in the middle. He believes that our country is not a racist country. Just let me remind you, when he said that initially 2 years ago, within 24 hours, the vice president of our country, Kamala Harris, said the exact same thing. She said, we don't have that. America is not a racist country. Now, in the interim, about 2 weeks ago, President of the United States, Joe Biden, gave a speech at Howard University for the graduation. He was a graduation speaker, and he said during his words, he said that the greatest threat that our country has right now is terrorism from white supremacists. Let me just remind you, Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, said the exact same thing 2 years ago. I don't know that we can say that terrorism from white nationalists is the greatest threat we have in our country, and then 5 minutes later say we don't have a racist country. And let me just say this: we can wipe out the police can decide that they're going to the FBI and other law enforcement agencies can decide that they're actually going to crack down on white supremacist terrorism. They can start arresting people for the crimes that they've been out committing that have so far gone unprosecuted. They can start a few more investigations. They can actually decide that they want to try and root out the white nationalists that they have working in each of their own law enforcement agencies. They can decide that they're going to do something about it. That does not go to the heart of racism in our country. Our country went into a war between the North and the South because the folks in the South said, listen, we've got slaves. We want to keep our slaves. And we don't have to. If you'll remember, even the question on whether or not blacks had rights went all the way to the Supreme Court much earlier than Brown versus Board of Education, at least 100 years before that. And during the Dred Scott decision, when the Supreme Court of the United States, go look it up. It's on their website. You're able to Google the Dred Scott decision, where the Supreme Court said black folks don't have that many rights, and white folks don't have to respect the rights of anybody that was born with black skin. So, for the Supreme Court to have decided that, for the fact that for a couple of 100 years, people who were the ancestors of you and I right here in this country didn't have rights, and that each of the rights that we now have had to be fought for and individually written out and enforced by the federal government, by law enforcement agencies. The only way that has happened at this point in time is because we've been given an opportunity over and over and over again to start to take advantage of some of those rights that are promised to Americans. The country was founded by people who owned slaves, who thought, yeah, this is going to be the land of the free and the home of the brave for them. And then they were going to go out and say, but we're not, that does not apply to the black people who we happen to own and beat and trade like they're cattle. So I don't really think that anybody can say with a straight face that we don't have, that our country wasn't founded based on racism. Those of us that know the history already know that. Those of us who are going to make sure that our kids and our grandkids know the real true history of this country, no matter what Ron DeSantis thinks, we already know that. But I think Kerry Leon Jackson thinks that what both Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Scott said as a senator, and now he wants to echo it over and over again to try and bring people to the middle in it to see if it's going to give any boost to his campaign, is that there are more people in our country who are not racist than there are people who are racist. That we do have a divided nation, and that the people who have decided that they are anti-racism and the folks who are not going to follow racist policies should far outnumber the people who believe in following racist policies. Tell me if I said that right or if I confused you. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. Want to know, do you think that America, our country, our overall country, do you think that we've got a problem with racism? Do you think that not just a small problem, but do you think it is so embedded in the foundation of our country, of our nation, and all of the institutions which exist today in our country that there's no way we're ever going to be able to escape it? 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. Do you think that we have a nation full of racism? Tell me what you think. Let me talk to Ms. Leona. Aubrey, can we go to Ms. Leona? Aubrey, are you there? 313-778-7600. I got a feeling that Aubrey's answering calls because now I see that he's got Fidel up. If we lost Ms. Leona, go to Fidel. Hello?
Ooh.
There we go. Let's go to Fidel. Good morning, Fidel. How are you?
I'm okay. How you feel?
Hanging out and having fun, brother. What's on your mind?
Too far gone. No place return. In my opinion, Fidel's opinion, we was better off when we were segregated. Look at all the places that we had going on: Black Wall Street, Westwood, Detroit, and in fact, all over the United States. That's why they rioted us. We was more together. We didn't go support no other ethnic group. We supported our own. We built up from nothing. Had all the rules against us, but we stick on. As soon as they open the books up, the so-called rule, now you go around the black cities with black local officials, we don't own anything. No tier one corporation. You got a black city to be compared right here in Detroit to Rosewood and Oklahoma. We don't own nothing. We don't give our own people nothing. Our neighborhoods is horrible. Our school, and this has been all my life. This has been ever since you came here to Detroit. So again, it's good for the individual, but it's not good for all of us. And those just are the facts. People might look at it different, but when we were segregated, up, and this hostile environment, which we still live, they just playing a different game. We think about it. Blacks in Wall Street, they won't support nobody else. Why would you? Ask yourself some hundreds of years later, look what blacks do. They go support everything. Other ethnic groups come in their city, the black city, the majority black city, take up all their resources and leave the neighborhoods and black. And today, kid, here's the number one thing. Blacks do it to blacks. Would you agree or would you disagree?
I don't agree that all blacks do it to blacks. Do I agree that we don't support each other the way that I wish we would? Definitely. Do I think that there's enough money economically in our community that if we actually got serious about supporting each other, starting our own institutions, we wouldn't need to continue to go and ask the white man for their handouts over and over again? Do I think, and I don't think it, I know that for a fact. There's enough money within our community alone right now that we can, if we decided to join forces, that we could form every single institution that you go to looking for handouts from the other from the white population. Here's the problem with that though. Eventually, you've got to bring more money into the community. So even if we decided that we were going to separate tomorrow, that's the fallacy with all of those people. It's like we're going to break away from the white man. We're going to go over here and form our own. We're not going to bring any new income into the community if we're going to just wind up walling ourselves off and say we just going to spend and earn from each other. There's a reason that our economy glued to a global economy. You need new dollars to come into your economic sphere every single day. You've got to wind up expanding who your customers are. If we're going to only have black customers and we only going to serve people in the black community, and eventually, and if they're only going to work for black companies, eventually they're going to run out of money. So the money's not going to keep circulating. Go ahead.
Majority of these tier one corporations, if you go back and look in history, when they got started, they stole our idea.
They started, and they stole your idea, and they started based on slavery. And for folks to walk around and talk about we don't owe reparations right now, they're lying. All of those.
We can't bring in tax bases. You can't bring in tax base if somebody stole your idea because we going to create our own corporation. But again, how you going to do that if they done killed you and burnt your city down, burnt your idea and took your idea and put a patent on there and took it for themselves?
Take it back? Take it back. It's really that simple. They budge the court, sue them, take back what belongs to us, and keep going.
If it was that easy, they'd give us reparation. That's how you take it back.
They ain't gonna give nothing. Understand this. You sitting around where they are not going to just voluntarily give over what they've already taken. All right. At some point, you're gonna wind up having to do what the folks in South Africa did. You're gonna have to wind up standing up and taking it back. Let me see if I can. Well, I know better than that. So I listen. I understand. The question that I asked you though is, do you think that we have a racist country? We lost him. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. If we take either of these other folks who are holding on line, they're gonna wind up getting all about 45 seconds. And we're gonna wind up going to break. Let's see if we can talk to Ms. Leona real quick before we go to break. Good morning, Ms. Leona. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. What's on your mind?
Well, I got cut off. I don't believe anything that Tim Scott says. He'll say anything for the Republican Party to back him. And he's not living in poverty, so he don't really know. He's a senator. He doesn't have to deal with what the low-income black people deal with each and every day. And so I think he's just saying that to get the support of the
Ms. Leona,
Party.
I not because I'm going to cut you off because we're going to break, but let me just tell you something. I know him. He actually believes the stuff that comes out of his mouth. He honestly believes that there are, because of where he lives. I mean, he's right. He gets pulled over by the police. He gets, they don't see a senator, they see a black man and things like that. But because, and probably because you're right, that he's a senator, he's sort of walled off. He does not know about the problems, the regular problems that everybody has to go through in life. And so in his mind, he sees things through this rose-colored glasses where he believes that, our country is not full of races and that he's been elected to be a U.S. senator and his skin is black among mostly white folks. His constituents are not black, they're white. Hold tight. Hold on the phone. We've got to take a break. 313-778-7600. It's a very quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who have agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I had no energy for months and months and months. I had no energy, and I'm a very active person. And my husband was noticing that I was tired all the time, and I was slow at everything that I was doing. And I kept listening to the commercials, and you don't know if something's going to help you or not. But I decided this was something I was going to do. And lo and behold, in about 4 days after taking them, I was repotting plants. I was doing other things. My husband said to me, "You seem to have more energy." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." And I'm telling you, nothing has ever made such a difference. So anyway, I'm very happy.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code RADIO5.
Attention! Do you owe back taxes, fines, and penalties to the IRS? The IRS now offers new relief options for taxpayers affected by COVID-19, but you can't go it alone. Call Tax Solutions now. Our team of former IRS agents and tax professionals can get you the best deal. We know the COVID-19 rules. Call us and never speak to the IRS again.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
The virus has caused the IRS to take extensive action to help taxpayers. So if you owe $10,000 or more, this is the best time in years to settle your tax debt.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
Remember, the IRS will not give up until you pay. Call 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. Let's go back to the lines. Let's let Ms. Leona wrap up. Go ahead, Ms. Leona.
I would just like to say that from understanding, I think I heard on the news where Tim Scott was the only one that voted on the George Floyd bill for the policeman not to be sued. I hope I'm correct. So I hope Tim Scott runs. I hope the Sanders run. I hope all of them run so they can split up the vote and won't any of them become president. Enjoy your show. I'm going to keep on listening. God bless.
Thank you very much. You have a great day. 313-778-7600. Let's talk to Carl. Good morning, Carl. How are you?
Yes, good morning. Yeah, well, of course, our country. If Kamala Harris and Tim Scott saying this, they're lying. Our country 50 years ago was America racist. Then, with all the civil rights movement, no country gets over that, over hundreds of years of slavery and brutality. They just don't wake up the next day and act like nothing happened. Black people took their rights back then. Civil rights bills was passed. The same bills was passed back in the late 1800s, right after slavery. So, of course, our country is that. You know, for people to say that, they say that to appease white folks. White folks know this. White people come from Europe, countries in Europe that enslaved and colonized the whole continent of Africa. So during the immigration in the late 1800s, a lot of these white people ended up here in America. To be truthful, Our country has to be truthful and change. Look at all the laws they're passing now. All these kind of laws. I'd be a fool to walk around here as a black person to think this. If I don't know this, how racist my country is, I get caught in the traps. By me knowing the history of my country and knowing what's going on, I don't get caught in these traps. So it's
You're right. That's why they don't want you to. That's why they don't want to wind up teaching the history. That's why they want to lie about what happened in the past. That's why that 1619 project was met with so much resistance from, quite frankly, from racist white folks, because they don't want you to. They don't want to wind up being reminded. They don't. It's not that they don't want to be reminded. They don't want you to be able to tell people, see what happened. See what they've done to us in the past, see how we've been wronged, and now it's time for us to get what's right.
Because if you ever dealt with a racist white person, they'll say this immediately. Well, we used to do this back in the 60s. So if you did it in the 50s, what happened to all them decades before the 50s? You know, in the 60s. Of course you was doing this. They know the history. Why shouldn't that? The problem with black people in this country and a lot of our social is because we don't respect what happened to us. If we understood that and take it to our heart, like a lot of your callers and a lot of people do. Millions of black people understand that. But a lot of us, they care nothing about the history of our people. That's why a lot of our people are in peril. They are. Once you understand that, you know that just like you know the history of religion, you take upon a religion that happened 2,000 years ago. Take it wholeheartedly, Christianity, whatever it is. That happened 2,000 years ago. We talk about what happened now and what happened several decades ago and centuries ago, just recently. And you don't respect that? So that's why a lot of our people is in the situation that they in today. You got to take our country wholeheartedly. We can get anything out of this country we want. Period. If we did what we're supposed to do. But
we could solve any of the problems that if we really, really cared, we could solve them. Our country as a whole doesn't care enough to solve the problem. I agree with you about that. There you go. Yeah, thanks for calling, Carl. 313-778-7600. Let's talk to Fernando. Good morning, Fernando.
Well, good morning, Terry. I'm glad you brought up this subject. Terry, I just recently got back from Florida, and I was just in awe to see the Hispanic community. They had their grocery stores, Terry. They had markets. They had produce and all types of things, Terry. I was just really amazed at just how advanced they were economically when I was in Florida, and the thriving business there. They had their own community intact. They were even able to work with politicians because they had economic power. And I really feel, Kerry, this is the ideal that we should work towards. And to be fruitful for us, Kerry, the promise.
You understand that all of those Cubans and the Hispanics that you saw in Florida, you know they support Ron DeSantis. Those folks don't support. Okay. Tomorrow morning's discussion is going to be Florida and this NAACP advisory against traveling to Florida. But and you know, I'll tell you now what I'm going to say then. I don't know how the heck the NAACP just woke up and figured out how the folks were in Florida and that the people in that state are openly hostile to black folks.
Well, let me finish up, Kerry. Let me finish up. Kerry, my father had a 12th grade education, and he was a self-made millionaire. I said a 12th grade education, Kerry, and he used to always tell me, he said, we're so caught up about what the white man gonna do, and he used to sing that song, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open up the door.
Open up the door and get it myself, right.
And God bless the child that got his own. And that was the two songs he would say to me all the time. And one time I had my hand in the air talking about black power. He told me, take my hand down. And when I took my hand down, he said, open your hand, son. I opened my hand. He put more money in my hand than I could close my fist. And he said, now raise your fist in the air. And I did. He said, now that's power. He said, that's black power. So, Kerry, until we begin to understand economics, until we begin to build our own community, once again, the land of milk and honey, for us, the promised land will be to have a thriving community, to have our own school districts, to run our own school districts, to be able to make sure that politicians do what we want them to do, and to be able to create an economy to where we can...
Hold on, I got a question. You honestly think that black folks don't understand economics? Black people make money and spend money at an amazing rate every single solitary day.
Let me put it like this. If that was the case, then annually we spend $1.2 trillion each year, Kerry. That's enough money for self-liberation. That's enough money to create our own economy. That's enough money to give our own reparations.
I said it 2 calls ago. I already know that. I've
Right.
seen it on a regular basis, especially for the last 10 years of myself, that we have enough money and enough money goes to our community that we could, if we decided to channel it in the right direction, we could do amazing things. The problem is the folks that live next door to you and I don't care. It's not that they don't understand economics. It's just that they've decided, I know how much money I've got and I know what I'm going to do with it. And I'm not going to do with my money what you want me to do with my money. There is not right now a lack of money in our community. It's a lack of focusing that money in an area that maybe you and I would want to focus it. They don't want to.
Well, Gary, I'm going to say this. We're going into our third Reconstruction period, which will equate to a permanent underclass. So either we're going to get it together, Gary, or for the most part, we're going to be a people that's working and trying to work our way up economically, Gary. It's now or never.
I agree with you on that. Thanks for calling this morning.
All right, Gary.
313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. Let's talk to Michael. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for taking my call as always. I just wanted to comment on since we talk about economic matters, why don't we as Black people really go and find a candidate like the Cubans and the Hispanics in Florida and gather behind him? I mean, I know Obama, that's different, but what about a Republican? Could we go get somebody like, instead of Oprah, having a Democratic, Oprah would be Democratic, but go get Condoleezza Rice and try to get her to run for political office, or even Colin Powell.
Hold on a minute. We've got somebody running for political office who's Black in the Republican Party. His name's Tim Scott. The man is running for president.
That is not the I'm talking about. He's like Ben Carson. You know that.
Ben ran several years ago. Okay.
I know that.
And Black folks didn't support him. Black folks didn't support Ben. Black folks didn't, not apparently, it sounds like, at least from the tenor of these talk calls, are not really in the mood to support Tim Scott. What makes you think that they would support another African American who's running with the banner of the current Republican Party? What makes you think that even if the person ran locally here for city council or ran as state rep, Black folks are not. You had an opportunity to elect a very well qualified Black Republican to Congress from the 13th Congressional District about 13 weeks ago, and everybody said, no, we're not going to do that. What on earth makes you think that even if Condoleezza Rice gave up the perch at Stanford, where she is, and making all of the money, that she'd want to go down and run for office and that folks would wind up supporting her?
Yeah. Okay.
What makes you think it would happen?
Well, I think if your callers keep talking about economics and we keep talking about economics, we know the Democrats, they're going to try to fight for Social Security and they weak on economic issues. The Republicans, they want to be strong on that.
Yeah, I tell you what, next week we're going to spend more time talking about economics. Thanks for calling this morning, brother. 313-778-7600. It's 6:30 in the morning. It's time to take the second break of the morning. It's a very quick break, and we'll be right back.
Have
Have you thought about advertising your business on our 910 AM Superstation? Our audience is bigger than ever, and your investment will be lower than ever. Find out how you can grow your business. Give us a call during business hours and ask for Henry, 248-357-4566. We will tell your story, and more folks than ever before will come to your door. 248-357-4566. Ask for Henry. The super audience at our 910 Superstation wants to hear about you. Call now. The all-new 910 Superstation is your #1 source for urban talk radio. If you're looking for the best in radio programming, look no further. You can now listen in on a multitude of audio platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Listen Notes, and coming soon to Amazon Music, Good Pods, and Overcast. 910 AM Superstation, the largest, strongest, 50,000-watt urban radio station in town. 910 AM Superstation has the greatest advertising deal ever with our Godfather package. 100 spots for $600 with a must-air within 30-day policy, and we will even produce the spots free. That's right, free. Call Devin C. now at 248-357-4566. That's 248-357-4566. Or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
WADL gets a facelift and is now My 38 Detroit. Along with a facelift comes new programming. On Mondays at 8 p.m., catch a 2-hour block of Law & Order SVU. Tuesdays, Chicago Fire. Wednesdays, Dateline. More Dateline and Chicago PD on Thursdays and on Fridays. You will get more Chicago PD to start your weekend. We'll still have some of your favorite shows like Mom, Blackish, and Friends. Just adding more for you to enjoy on My 38. The Word Network has been broadcasting inspirational messages around the world since the year 2000, and we keep getting bigger and better and more innovative. Seen all around the world, we bring you the best teaching, impartation, singing, and inspiration. If you want original programming, we have that too. The Word Network is your exclusive source for all things inspiration, and we can be found on every device imaginable. If you want to be uplifted and inspired, you need the Word Network.
My 38 is offering a great special that cannot be refused. Are you looking for a great deal on TV advertising? Are you searching for an avenue to get your business name out to the public? With My 38, we are offering a great special with 100 commercial ads for a great price. This offer is for a 30-day ad placement. Please contact Devin C. for more information at 248-357-4566 or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Come shop more than they do.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The number here in the studio is 313-778-7600. It's 313-778-7600. If you just tuned in, this morning we asked the question, do you believe that America is a racist country? Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina is running for president as a Republican. And he decided to respond to a speech that the President of the United States made a couple of weeks ago to the graduating class at Howard University. That graduating speech, President Joe Biden said that white nationalist or white supremacy and the terrorism that comes from that is the greatest threat to our country at this time. And let me just remind you, all that Joe Biden is doing is repeating what was already said 2 years ago by Christopher Wray, the FBI director. And that's an acknowledgement that most of the crimes that are occurring in our country right now are all fed by white nationalist terrorism, including a young man who's 19 years old, who a couple nights ago decided to fly from St. Louis to D.C., went to the local U-Haul, rented a truck, had his little white nationalist, the Nazi flag and a Confederate flag with him, and he told the police later on that he had been planning this crime for 6 months, and he drove the U-Haul to the White House, attempted to hit it. He wound up hitting a barrier, backed the truck up, and you've seen the video, hit the barrier again. Only after the second time he hit the barrier did the police figure out, uh-oh, that wasn't an accident. This fool is trying to break in. So the police swarmed him, did not shoot and kill him, pulled him out of the truck, arrested him, tried to figure out what on earth was going on. Now understand this, the man didn't have a gun. He didn't shoot at anybody. He's still alive today. They arrested him. And he said his plan, which he had hatched 6 months ago, was to go to D.C., kill the president of the United States, and to take over and assume power. Where do you think he got such a stupid idea from? All right. If the problems that we have in our country are being inspired by white nationalists and white supremacy terrorism, do you think that you honestly think that we have a racist nation? 313-778-7600. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Felicia. Good morning, Felicia. How are you this morning? If we lost Felicia, go to Jihad. If we lost Felicia and Jihad, go to James.
Morning, Terry.
Good morning. Who is this?
James.
All right. So apparently we're losing people left and right. I guess we're not getting to it quick enough. What's on your mind this morning, James?
Yes, sir. We do live in a racist country, and it's all tied in with religion. It goes back all the way back to the image of Jesus Christ, tied into the Christian religion as God manifested himself in the flesh on earth. You know, that idea is totally white supremacy. That's in order to promote white supremacy in America. If you drive up I-75, when you get to the Joshua Lord exit there in Pontiac, look out to your right there. They still have that great big image lit up at night of blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus Christ. That's to promote white supremacy. And it was placed in our churches and the synagogues. It was just about placed everywhere for African Americans in African American churches for over 200, 300, 400 years, maybe. Can you imagine what that did to the minds of
anybody that's black that has not yet already seen the images of a Black Madonna that date back thousands of years, and that they use, that they've got multiple images of different Black Madonnas at every churches all over Europe, you would understand that the Americanized version of what's in that Bible doesn't quite follow what the rest of the world believes or what probably really happened in history. And there has been, I agree with the caller, that there has been sort of a whitewashing of the religious history, but I'm not going to believe that you know, all that they created an all white religion. No, because brother, understand this, there has been religion for thousands and thousands of years in many different cultures all over this planet.
Well, that's why in Islam, God tells us to say to the Christians that say Allah is one Lord, eternal, and has absolute power. He begetteth not. He begetteth not. He ain't had no children.
He didn't have to ask the white one. Go ahead.
Nor is he begotten, and there is nothing comparable unto God. Everything depends on God, and God depends on nothing.
All right, thanks for sharing that.
That right there.
That should clear up a whole lot. I agree. Thanks for calling and sharing this morning. Have a good day. 313-778-7600. Let's talk to Daniel. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson. How are you this morning?
Pretty good. What's on your mind?
You asked the question, is this nation racist? Absolutely, man. We're still going through things that we were marching for 50 years ago, you know, and I look at a lot of the senators or Congress and how they act towards Black people. This gentleman, Tim Scott, he refuses to pass the John Lewis Act, He refuses to do pretty much anything that's going to benefit Black people. To piggyback on the last caller, in the Bible, the Most High pretty much describes himself, you know, if you know that verse in the Bible where it speaks of his hair being
of wool. Hold on a minute, but let's not, do me a favor. Let's not get away from what you just said. Understand, Tim Scott took on the role of trying to convince. So let's not. It is not that he is not supporting the George Floyd bill or voting rights. What he did is he took on the role of trying to be a leader to try to bring some Republicans over. He thought that if he went and explained personally to the white folks who caucused with him in the Republican caucus, that if he explained to them how hard it is being a Black man and what happens when he himself, as a United States Senator, got pulled over by police and all that they saw was a Black man and they didn't see Tim Scott, the senator. He thought that if he was able to explain this to them, that they would care and somehow they would understand that somehow we've got to change and have some basic rules for policing in this country. He was wrong. Those people already had their minds made up. So it is not his fault that the act didn't pass. It is simply that those folks on the other side have said, I don't really care how hard it is being Black.
There it is.
Tough.
You just answered the question right there. You just answered the question right there. Is this country racist? Of course. For hundreds of years, man, this country has been racist. It's going to continue to be racist until them people, you know, decide that we are equal to them. We've always been equal to them. So
again, he does. If somebody's already decided that they hate you because of your skin color, they're not going to change their mind. They got to be outnumbered. You've got to work harder to bring the other people onto the team with you. That you've got to recognize there are plenty of people in this country who are not racist. You've got to outnumber the people who are racist. Let me go to another caller. Thanks for calling this morning, brother. Let's go to Kwame. Good morning, brother. How are you?
You know, I'm just saying this morning. You know, we got to we can't do anything without power. You know, and I believe in the church, and the church really has its own economic system. But we got to find out in terms of our mind who we really are and what power is really about. See, Coleman Young, he created a new layer of power. You know, the country will always be racist unless it has something to counter that racism, because racism serves its purpose. But, you know, the major work of Coleman Young was basically perpetuating that particular system or keeping that particular system going. But we have to, he got all of the entities that supported him, like the Black Slate, he had labor, and all of the other entities that supported him. He's the one that really was the leadership in terms of our rise in taking us from powerless to power. So, you know, once we get that kind of leadership again, then we can push for power. That's what we got to do. Have you ever been in the BCN National Training Center?
The who National Training Center?
The Black Christian Nationalist Training Center.
No.
Well, let me tell you, it was a community that was all Black, thousands of people, a community that was all Black, and it was heaven as far as we were concerned. We couldn't hardly get a lot of people to go outside that community. And that community supported Coleman Young 110%.
All right, but I got to go to break, and B, you realize that Coleman Young has been in the grave over on Mount Elliott for about 25 years now. It's time for other folks to decide that they're going to do something. I'm not taking away any of his leadership ability and the fact that he fought for Black Power here in the city of Detroit, but that was a while ago. Who's fighting for it today? 313-778-7600. Thanks for calling. We've got to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Like buy one, get one 50% off on select interior and exterior paints and exterior stains via Lowe's gift card rebate. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/31. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details.
Hi, this is PG. Today's topic is about school buses and when drivers need to stop. I am here with Southfield Police Chief Elvin Barron and Farmington Hills Police Chief Jeff King with an important traffic safety tip just for you.
When the lights are flashing yellow on the school bus and you're driving on a two-way roadway, that means to slow down, pass with caution, and be prepared to stop.
When the lights are flashing red and the stop sign is extended out, you are required to stop, keeping a safe distance from the bus. Do not attempt to pass. This includes drivers going in the opposite direction. You too must stop if there is no barrier wall or median.
While the stop sign is extended out, the school bus is loading and unloading students.
All traffic should remain stopped until the stop sign has been retracted, the doors are closed, and the bus proceeds to move forward.
Let's stop.
Together we can keep
our kids safe.
This traffic safety tip has been brought to you by PG and the Two Chiefs.
Did you know most vitamin supplements don't even come from food? Even the products with colorful fruits and vegetables adorning the labels are seldom derived from produce. Typically, supplements are synthetic, made in a laboratory. Modern science may synthetically imitate these chemicals, but your body isn't fooled. It knows the difference, and it craves quality materials to build, repair, and fight illness. You need to consume fruits and vegetables daily in a variety of colors, as well as whole grains and other fresh food. That's why I formulated Balance of Nature. I wanted to be able to give my patients a natural alternative to the cheap, unnatural chemistry by giving them real fruits and vegetables. In fact, the only ingredients inside of Balance of Nature are whole fruits and vegetables. Don't settle for imitation nutrition. Reach for the good stuff, the real stuff.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code RADIO5.
Have you thought about advertising your business on our 910 AM Superstation? Our audience is bigger than ever, and your investment will be lower than ever. Find out how you can grow your business. Give us a call during business hours and ask for Henry, 248-357-4566. We will tell your story, and more folks than ever before will come to your door. 248-357-4566. Ask for Henry. The super audience at our 910 Superstation wants to hear about you. Call now.
The 910 AM live stream can now be seen on Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, YouTube Red, iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle Fire, any Windows phone, or watch us live at 910amsuperstation.com.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. Let's see how many of these folks that are on hold we can knock out in the next few minutes. Let's go to Walter. Good morning, Walter. How are you?
What's up, Terry?
Walter, do you think that we have a nation full of racism? What do you think?
Absolutely not. Obama wasn't born twice. It wasn't for white people getting him over the hump. You know, people love to use the race card when it comes to election time because it does win elections, unfortunately. Anybody that brings up the race card about America is a racist majority. I know a lot of your listeners probably think because they live in a one-track mind, I don't know, they think majority of Americans are racist. I can talk about that all day, but this is what I want to say about Tim Scott. He ain't going nowhere. You know what? I do not like Tim Scott. It probably shocked you.
Wait a minute. How the heck can you not want to support Tim Scott? You're a Republican, Walter. What is the problem?
He's watered down. I like you might not remember this, but him and Mitch McConnell and a few other of those rhinos and establishment Republicans, they were the ones that took. You remember Judge Roy Moore?
Yes.
And he came out against him about accusations with women. Just like
And children.
And he spoke out and told Judge Roy Moore he needs to step down.
Which he should have. And a more moderate Republican would have won that election. But they ran somebody that was ultra conservative with a horrible background. So you are anti-Tim Scott because he actually stood up and took a leadership role, is what you're telling me.
Well, let me tell you another reason why. You remember the State of Union follow-up? They chose him one time.
You're right. They chose him. That's when he said, America's not a racist nation. And the very next day, Kamala Harris said the exact same thing. Right. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't like his follow-up because it was watered down. He didn't punch hard enough. He's not like Trump. He's not hard-hitting. He doesn't go for the jugular. And you know that's who the Democrats want? They want Ron DeSantis. By the way, Ron DeSantis is a terrible debater. That black woman that went against him in Florida, even though he won, thank God, because of his policies. But
we'll talk about Ron DeSantis tomorrow. Tomorrow we're talking about Florida. Tomorrow, that's tomorrow morning show topic. So call me tomorrow. Let me knock out a couple of more. Let me call me tomorrow. Well, I will take your call. We're gonna talk about Florida tomorrow. Let's go to Jamal. Good morning, Jamal. How are you?
Good morning. Terry, this is James again.
Okay.
I was just calling to listen in after my comment. I wanted to.
Okay. All right, I got you. All right, we'll put you back on hold. Let's go to New Tim.
Yes, good morning. I'm enjoying the conversation as usual. You asked the question, is the United States a racist country? Yes, the United States is a racist country. It was built off of racism, and it's still being taught in schools, and that's our biggest institution of learning. It's being taught in school, and if they wanted to change it, they would change the laws down in Florida. It's not like they can't change it. I mean, they are party that the governors down in Florida and other states are doing what they are doing about taking out Black history and saying you can't say this or you can't say that. You know, the United States is a racist country. That's why the United States is going to have to pay their debt. For being racist towards Black people. I'm not worried about other people, other races or nationality, because they don't care about the Black people. You see what you said about the Cubans and things like that. For the Black people struggle, they would never made it over here to these shores. And what the first thing they do? They go and support the guy who you're going to have on, and then the guy who you're going to talk about tomorrow. So we can't claim all these people that when they say the NAACP, the National Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP need to be changed because we can't keep supporting people or helping people out that they're going to turn their backs on us. And prime example down in Florida. Those same people, if they get in trouble, they're gonna run to the NAACP saying, I need help, because they discriminating against us about this and about that. So yes, the United States is a racist country, and it's still being taught in schools and things like that. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. Let's go to Jihad. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, my brother. Peace. Peace. You know, brother, how is America not a racist country? I mean, you know, it's really sad that we are still discussing in 2023, is America a racist country? You know, the problem is us. You know, we sit back, we're more racist against one another than we are, and white people can almost be against us or whatever. We racist in the fact that one is taller than the other, one go to a different, believe in the oppressor's religion or whatever. Your oppressor was a Baptist, yours was Protestant, yours was Catholic, yours was a Muslim, yours was a Jehovah's Witness. That's our biggest problem really right now today. It ain't so much understand the white man, it's really us today. And just like the previous caller, who's a Republican, understand, just made the statement he's not voting for his black Republican brother. That goes to show you right there, whatever, the mindset that we have been put in, that we hate black, light shining in the darkness, but the darkness comprehended not. You know, it's really us, man, or whatever. But for us to understand America, we're sitting back and watching America sink right before our very eyes. And we're steady trying to hold America up and don't really even see the hand of God. America's on her way out. Economics is falling all around us. And we're still talking about voting or whatever. You know, those wheels have been off that wagon a long time ago or whatever. We still trying to push that wagon up the road, understanding it don't even have no wheels on it. Politics ain't our problem. It's our disunity and lack of love for one another.
All right. Thanks for calling.
All right. Love you, black man.
All right. I'm out of time, y'all. Thank each and every one of y'all for calling. I think that we got to as many of the callers as we could. Y'all already know what we're talking about tomorrow morning. The NAACP advisory to not travel to Florida. So call. I'll be here ready for y'all to start calling right at 6 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to wait until 6:50 to call in. You can call at 6 a.m. All right, next up, State Representative Jewel Jones. He, a member of the foundation, will be here to bring you information and inspiration from 7 to 9, followed by Attorney Anthony Adams. I'll be back in front of this mic tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. And actually, y'all remember, that's the last show because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is the holiday. So I look forward to talking to each and every one of y'all tomorrow. Have a great day.